Hi, folks. This is Nicole Rolfe reporting to you live from Helena, Montana at the 68th Montana Legislative Session. I have gotten on the Facebook Live from my computer, which is different because we're usually doing this from phones up in the Capitol building, but I wanted to be in a quiet place, so hopefully it's working. I know that some other staff are going to be watching and helping me watch for questions, but if I miss something, we'll be sure to circle back and get your questions answered. So while folks are joining, I just wanted to put a little commercial out there and remind you that while we're up here in Helena working on state legislative priorities, we're also working on federal legislation and federal regulations at the same time. Most recently, you probably heard that the EPA put out their new Waters of the U.S. rule. And, sorry, I'm getting a notification here. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. So the EPA put out their new Waters of the U.S. rule on the Federal Register, as we feared, and provided a lot of comments on to hopefully correct some of the problems with it. This new rule that is out is definitely an expansive rule. It is giving the EPA more authority over, jurisdiction over things that are not indeed waters, and certainly not what we believe the intent of the Clean Water Act was. So you may have also noticed that the American Farm Bureau, along with 17 other organizations, filed suit on the rule on the same day as it was published on the Federal Register. So we are continuing to work on that and follow that very closely and do everything we can to make sure that we prevent federal overreach. So I also, on that note, wanted to do a little commercial for the Washington, D.C. fly-in. As you probably have heard, we will be doing that again this year. It will be in June in conjunction with the American Farm Bureau fly-in advocacy conference. So you'll be in Washington, D.C. at the same time as many other farmers and ranchers from across the country working together on similar issues, learning from our fantastic American Farm Bureau staff, and being prepped to get up there on the Hill and make a difference with our delegation, as well as agencies and others that we will meet with. So if you're at all interested in traveling to Washington, D.C. and helping advocate for Farm Bureau priorities and other issues, I would really encourage you to go to our website, mfbf.org, and under the legislative tab, or let me just check and make sure I'm telling you the right tab here. Under policy and advocacy, if you click on that tab and scroll over to the DC fly-in and click that, there'll be lots of information on the fly-in, and there's also an online application that's just a fillable form, and you can fill that out, and we will definitely be excited to accept those. So Montana Farm Bureau will be taking at least 3 members, and we do host the whole thing. I will arrange all of the meetings and the hotels and all of the great activities that we will do while we're there, and Farm Bureau will sponsor that. So it's a great opportunity for you to get to DC and make your voice heard. So that's my little commercial for that. And Dylan was good enough to post a direct link to it in the chat. So check that out. And if you have any questions, let us know. I'm happy to answer them. There's also lots of members who have participated in the past who you can visit with, and they can give you their perspective on why it's a valuable use of your time and how it really makes a difference with our folks in DC. So back to Helena, back to what's going on here in our state capitol. It's the third week, the end of the third week of the session, and we're starting to see some new bills roll out, some different things. In the first 2 weeks, we saw a lot of agency bills, a lot of the red tape reform bills, a lot of the things that agencies and the administration had recognized as being either outdated or duplicative, or that even more so were harmful to business and individuals living in this state. and they are seeking to correct that. So as you know, we supported a lot of those. And this week we saw some new things introduced, a little wider range of topics. So I'll start on tax because that's one of my favorite subjects, truly. But we got to go in and support 2 tax bills this week. On Tuesday, actually. So one, probably the most exciting one to us as farmers and ranchers is House Bill 212. It is a business equipment relief bill that increases the exemption for business equipment tax from $300,000 to $1 million. So this means for all of your equipment and machinery that is valued at $1 million or less, you will no longer be eligible to pay tax on that. If you do own more than $1 million worth of business equipment, you will be only subject to pay tax on the value that is more than $1 million worth of equipment. So we heard in testimony that this will take about 5,000 businesses, including many farms and ranches, completely off of that tax roll. So that's a really good news for all of us that have less than $1 million worth of equipment on our farms and ranches, but also, it's good for everyone because it's raising that exemption and benefiting even those of you that have a bit more than $1 million worth of equipment. We're very excited about that. There was a ton of positive testimony from a wide range of constituencies, small business, other natural resource industries, the ag community. So we were very excited about that and believe it will be moving through the process quickly. Another one we got to support, and that I should mention, that bill is sponsored by Representative Josh Kastmeyer, and it is at the request of the governor. So we really appreciate his both of their continued efforts to improve the business climate, especially in ways that is very impactful and positive to farmers and ranchers. Another tax bill is Senate Bill 121 that we supported this week. It will reduce the income tax top rate from 6.5% to 5.9%. While that is not a huge change in a percentage, it is a reduction. And you probably recall that the state legislature reduced the income tax last session and is continuing to do that this session, which is very positive. It just shows a continued commitment to bringing our tax code more in line with states around us and making it a better place for us all to live and work. So again, we were pleased to support that, one of the governor's bills, which was carried by Senator Becky Beard. So that's all there is for tax. I'm going to just quick peek over here and see if I missed any comments. I'm not seeing any. So I'll jump on to the next subjects. Every session, to some degree, we are involved in quite a few fish, wildlife, and parks or fish and game type bills. And this session already, we were able to support Senate Bill 85, which was carried by Senator Mike Lang. And this bill has to do with the management of grizzly bears. As you know, delisting the grizzly bear, getting it off the endangered species list is a big priority for our organization. We've been working on all fronts, federally and on the state level, to do what we can to advocate for the delisting. We know that populations have recovered. We know that our Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has played an active role in managing the species already and is very capable of doing that. We also know that they have experience with other species that have been delisted, such as the wolf. So this bill simply states in statute, makes it very clear that upon delisting, the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks will continue to manage the species, and it just puts a lot of things in code that we believe and hope will continue to help the folks on the national level be able to look at Montana and see that we are a great manager of the species and will do a great job of managing them when the bear is delisted. So it's just one more step towards delisting, and we are very excited to support that. Got to support a weed bill as well. It's a pretty simple bill, but it's House Bill 86, carried by Representative Walsh out of Dillon. It is a bill that basically just takes the sunset off of a piece of legislation that was enacted in 2017 by the late Representative Kelly Flynn. And this bill, this piece of legislation, what it does is creates the WIP program. It stands for Wildlife Habitat Improvement Program, I believe. And it takes some federal dollars from Pittman's Robertson funds and uses those in order to improve habitat by controlling noxious weeds. And we all know that controlling noxious weeds is a priority for us on all lands. So we were very proud to support that bill. Even more excitingly, that was heard in the Senate. So it's already passed the House. It has been heard in the Senate. We believe it will be moving through the process quickly, and we'll have another win there on some habitat stuff. I know that Rachel updated you on a lot of water issues last week. It was a busy week for water last week, and this as well. We were able to go in and support House Bill 114 in the House Appropriations Committee this week. That's the bill that creates a bunch of new efficiencies and really speeds the changes in permit application and water rights. Because it is a bill that has an appropriation in it, meaning it does cost some money to make these improved efficiencies and streamlining the process. It had to have a policy hearing, which it did last week. It passed 91-7, I believe, on the House floor, was sent to appropriations for them to analyze the cost of it, and had a good hearing yesterday with lots of support. And, we were able to make the case that, on our own farms and ranches, we know that to increase productivity and efficiency, sometimes that takes some investment. So these 13 new employees that this bill will require is a good investment and will get us to that increased efficiency and productivity. So hopefully that has a good time getting through the appropriations committee and back onto the floor for third reading, so it can continue its way into the Senate. So I'm looking over here again at questions, and I'm not seeing any. I just want to remind you all that members will, okay, I'm sorry, just saw a comment, but it is the comment about the fly-in. So I lost my train of thought. What do you know? But just wanted to share that our members are going to be receiving their weekly update shortly after this live is finished that gives an update on the process of all the bills and all the positions we've taken so far. So if you aren't receiving those, make sure you check your junk mail and mark it as safe when you find it, or let us know if it's not coming into your inbox, because we want to provide our members with the most up-to-date information. We're also working on getting out a print newsletter. It will mail next week, so you'll have some more information there. I want to remind you again and encourage you to stay engaged here on the state, but also think about getting engaged on the federal level and apply for the apply for the fly-in. Before you do that, you'll have a great opportunity to come up here to Helena and participate in our Calling on the Capitol. It is February 6th and 7th, which is a Monday and Tuesday. And we are encouraging as many members as can and want to come up here to Helena to do so. We're going to have an event in the Capitol Rotunda, so you have an opportunity to interact with your legislators and legislators from across the state. Talk to them about what's important on your farm and ranch. We're also going to have agency visits, a meeting with the governor. We hope, we're working on scheduling a whole bunch of really great things for you, and hope that you'll take advantage of that. So email information about that will be in the weekly update, as well as on our website. Please get in touch with us or talk to your regional manager if you need more information on that as well. So we look forward to interacting with all of you as much as we can. The legislative session is off to a fast start now, and we're doing well. So without any further ado, I'm not seeing any questions, so I think I'll sign off. But I thank you for tuning in, and we thank you for being engaged. Bye.